This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. We often hear about the red flags that we should avoid, but what if we started to focus more on looking for the green flags in our friends and in our partners? Identifying the green flags means that you're focusing on the positive traits and creating a healthy foundation, which sometimes is something that I personally really need to work on. I found therapy to be so helpful when it comes to understanding why I do the things that I do. It's helped me to set boundaries, understand coping skills, regulate my emotions, and so much more. BetterHelp is fully online therapy, making it really affordable and really convenient. They have a diverse network of over 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties, and BetterHelp serves over 5 million people worldwide. BetterHelp makes it easy to switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/8020 to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/8020.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
My condo with Lexi was a really, really special place. And Lexi and I really used our condo as kind of a home base, not only for us, but for a lot of other people. I had never known friendships that deep until the ones that I made with the people there in Annapolis. And so that was really cool. It's a little yes, it's a little nod from God, just saying, you know what, go ahead. You've hit a green light. And as much as moving home can feel like a red light, this just doesn't. And I was so afraid that it would. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Back to the Show. Thank you so much for clicking on today's episode. My name is Lily. I'm your host. And wow, do we have some life updates, you guys. We have a ton of life updates. Let me set the scene for you. I am sitting in, it's like almost a window seat, but I'm in a chair, but I've got my feet up on like where the window seat would be. And I've got my podcast set up. I have my second cup of coffee from Rise Up, and I am back home in Ocean City where I grew up. And this episode is very, very bittersweet, and it kind of comes a little prematurely only because we had to, I'll explain all of that in a second. I feel like this is going to be kind of a little bit all over the place because I haven't really collected my thoughts, but sometimes these types of episodes are quite literally the best episodes. A couple weeks ago, I posted an episode about change and challenges, and things were kind of in the midst of a shift, but I didn't think that the shift would happen this soon. And it's just kind of funny because we moved up to Annapolis in a bit of a quick and rushed manner because at the time I got a job. And as of today, like I just pulled into the driveway of my new home, like my new permanent address for this next chapter of life. And so if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, if you haven't heard, if you maybe missed it, I think that this is the first time on the podcast itself that I'm kind of saying this out loud, and it feels crazy to say, but my younger sister / roommate Lexi and I have moved out of our place in Annapolis, and we are back home in Ocean City. And wow, does it feel so bittersweet. And it's been a bit of a whirlwind of a week. So let me kind of just fill in the blanks for you guys. This probably is shocking to a lot of people, kind of surprising. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not surprising. Maybe you kind of saw this coming. A couple weeks ago, we made the decision due to a wide variety of circumstances and situations. We made the decision to wrap things up in Annapolis and move on home. And there's a ton of contributing factors to that, but at least for me, and I'm only going to speak for me, and my situation, I'm in school right now, and that is pretty much my main focus, school and the podcast. And it just made sense. Like things were just kind of wrapping up in Annapolis. Most of my friends that live there, I mean, it's so funny because I made a lot of new friends like the last month that I was living there, and that seems to always be how it goes. But a lot of my friends had since moved away from Annapolis, and just some changes have been happening in Lexi's life and my life. And we were just like, you know what? We have an opportunity to wrap things up here with our place. And I think it's time to just move home and kind of start a new chapter. And so that's exactly what we did. We had big plans to move out on Friday the 21st. So as you guys are listening to this, it's the 20th. So if things went as scheduled, but that never really happens, right? Because if you make plans, then God laughs and he's like, no, actually, this is how it's going to go. And so we had plans to move out on Friday the 21st, but we were anticipating this huge snowstorm, which apparently now it's only going to be like 1 to 3 inches. But last week on the forecast, it was going to be like 2 feet of snow, which you can't drive a moving truck in the snow. You can't move out in the snow. It's just going to be this big, huge issue. And we kind of had a deadline. We're like, we have to be out by a certain date. So we were like, this isn't going to work. We have to either move up or wait it out and hope that it doesn't snow. And we weren't going to run that risk. So a little bit prematurely, we decided to shift the move up in the schedule a bit and move out on Sunday. I guess Sunday would have been the 14th. No, Sunday the 16th. This past week has been crazy. So we made that decision on Thursday of last week. And it's so funny because I had it planned to pack the house. We had a 3-bedroom place. Packing a 3-bedroom house is not nearly as easy as you think about. This was like my first full move. And let me just say, there is so much stuff that you don't realize that you have, and emotions that you don't realize that you have. So Thursday morning, we made the decision that we were going to shift the move up in the calendar. And my mom, we kept calling her the MVP, the most valuable packer, because she's just such an angel. And she put it together like a little sleepover bag, hopped in her car and drove up to Annapolis and stayed there for like 5 days with us. And I guess it was 2 days, but it felt like it could have been 5 for 2 days, and helped us pack the condo. And huge shout out to both my parents. They have just been so helpful and so incredible throughout this whole process. And she helped pack the whole condo, and I'm over there on my computer because I'm doing school. I'm like, I have class, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. I probably have like 20 hours worth of schoolwork to do that I had to cram into like maybe 5 or 6 hours. And it was just catastrophic in my head. And obviously I'm crying and there's all these emotions, but I'm happy because it's exciting. And so my mom comes up, she helps us pack. And then on Saturday, my dad comes up, he picks up a U-Haul. And because it's like we had a ton of stuff, but we didn't have enough stuff to hire movers, but we had a lot of stuff that needed a U-Haul and like a storage unit on the back end. So it was just this whole big logistical thing. And so my dad came up, my dad and I loaded most of the U-Haul on Saturday, actually, which was ahead of schedule, which was nice. And then we had some friends come on Sunday morning and help us pack the U-Haul with just like the bigger things, the furniture, which was so sweet. I truly am so grateful for the people that God has just placed in my life, that were planted in my life throughout my time in Annapolis. And I think obviously when you move away from somewhere, you're not guaranteed the next time that you're going to see someone. And I just have so much gratitude for the people that I met there. And I think that there are some lifers in there, but maybe not. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be right. But I'm just really, really grateful for the people that I was able to be friends with during the past 3 years. And yeah, we packed up the truck on Sunday, and then we drove. Well, I'll spare you guys the logistics with like weather, and we kind of played musical cars in the family where you like drive someone else's car and then you switch, and we did all that. And then I came home to Ocean City super briefly, then woke up the next morning and drove back because I still had commitments, because mind you, I wasn't planning on leaving yet. So I still had like a yoga class to teach. I had work, like I was scheduled at my other job, and then I just had to get those shifts covered. It was just this big, huge thing. And I got home, like I just pulled into the driveway maybe half an hour ago, and I looked at Lex and I was like, we just had 6 days of what the heck just happened? Like, what the heck just happened? And I feel like I've been like put in a blender and spun up, and I don't really like know what's next. Like I'm here now and all my boxes are here. All my stuff is here. Half my stuff's in storage actually. Half my stuff is here. And I don't really know what to do. I don't really know what to do with myself. I think probably a good first step would be like get lunch. And then another good step might be like rearrange my bedroom the way that I want it to and then start unpacking. So that's kind of what my day is going to entail today. But I wanted to hop on the mic and just talk to you guys, just give you a life update and just kind of like, I've done a lot of reflection almost to the point where I'm tired of glancing in the rear view. I've also done a ton of driving in the past couple days. So metaphorically and figuratively speaking, I'm so sick and tired of looking in the rear view. But it's important, I think, for me to just kind of explain to you guys how cool it is to surrender the outcome and just kind of focus on the action rather than the outcome. And on my drive home, it was pretty cool because probably the first 30 minutes, I was just listening to worship music and just bawling my eyes out. That song by Brandon Lake and Ben Williams something, it's called Abandon. That one just makes me sob. If we sing it in church, I sob. If I hear it in the car, I sob. And so I of course I put that song on because when you listen to sad music, knowing that you kind of need to be sad, not only did I want to make myself sad, but I was kind of sad. But it's like a happy sad. It's a bittersweet feeling. And so I just put on like my saddest music that I could find. And that song's not necessarily sad, but it's more just kind of like, it tugs at your heartstrings for sure. And sitting in my car listening to that song is just it was such a cool reminder of like, looking back, I thought I had control over the plan that was supposed to go down. So much so that I turned on the podcast episode that I had recorded as a 21-year-old, freshly moved to Annapolis. My first big life update. The episode's titled Huge Life Update. I dropped out of school. I moved to Annapolis, all this stuff. And it's so funny and so full circle how I was listening to that episode as I drove home back to my parents' house in Ocean City, where I am back in school full-time, no longer at that job that I moved up there for. And I am back home in Ocean City and so excited to call Ocean City my home, whether it be for the next 20 years or whether it be for the next, 20 weeks temporarily, because I'm at a point in my life where I truly have kind of just surrendered the outcome and just focused on the next action step, whether it's, hey, how can I finish the classes that I'm in right now so I can move on to the next one? How can I focus on the relationships that I currently have in my life, the friendships that I currently have in my life? How can I let those flourish where I am right now? How can I, not to be so corny, but bloom where I'm planted right now? And just focus on the actions that I can take rather than the outcome. And that 21-year-old that was sitting in her condo in Annapolis, her very first place, it was empty. I probably hadn't even built my bed frame yet. Like, I was just so excited. And one thing in that episode that really stood out to me was the fact that I was so focused on how busy I was. I was so focused on how busy I was. And I was talking about how I'm working 9 to 5 and then I come home and I record the podcast, or I come home and I go to F45. I was really focused on doing rather than being. And the one thing, that really stood out to me listening to that was how I just kept saying, I'm super busy. I haven't had time to record. And then I was talking about how much I loved my job and I just couldn't wait to grind on that job every single day. And it was really, really sweet to listen, because I was just thinking back to how little I was, even the way that I spoke. I was so soft spoken and quiet and eager to see what this chapter would have in store. And now I'm 24, I'm almost 25. And it was the best time in my life thus far, but also the worst time and the hardest time of my life thus far. But the main thing that really stood out to me was that I was saying how busy I was. And it's so funny because on Monday, Lexi and I were sitting in Chick-fil-A and we were kind of in between cleaning the condo and grabbing dinner with a friend. And I said to her, I can't remember the last time I actually sat down in a Chick-fil-A and ate food. And she was like, you know what? I can't remember either. And we had been so busy the whole time that we lived in Annapolis that we never really just like went out to dinner, just the two of us. And not like Chick-fil-A is like going out to dinner, but it was like a little mini outing, and we needed like a late lunch, early dinner kind of situation. And I was like, I can't believe we've never come in here and sat. And we just kind of started to laugh because we were like, we were so busy for the past 3 years. Like, man, we had so much fun, but we never really took an opportunity to just like stop and smell the roses, essentially. And yeah, of course, there were little moments where I rested, and I really put an emphasis on rest over the past year or so. But I think for me, Annapolis was 3 years of working really, really, really hard, just kind of going as hard as I could in a good way and in a bad way, for sure. If you guys are familiar at all with my story, I've definitely made some mistakes, that's for sure, but I've definitely had some wins there as well. So that thought was kind of in the back of my mind of like, okay, you know what? When I go home to Ocean City, I am so relaxed. There's a song by Jimmy, I don't know his last name. He's a country singer. I could sing it for you guys, but I guess I'll just pull it up on Spotify right now because I don't want to bless you guys with my beautiful singing voice. What's it called? I think it's Jimmy Allen. It's Jimmy Allen. It's called Settle on Back. So Jimmy Allen grew up in Sussex County, which is the next county over from us when we're down here in Ocean City. And I would always play this song, like headed back to the beach when I first moved up to Annapolis, just because it was so true. I'm like, when I cross that Sussex County line, I feel so chill. When I even cross the Bay Bridge, I feel so chill. And every time that I came back home to visit throughout the past 3 years, I felt so chill. And I never felt that in Annapolis. I never felt like the same relaxation as I do when I'm here in Ocean City.
Lowe's knows that free is just better. That's why MyLowe's Rewards is free to join. As a member, you earn points towards MyLowe's money on eligible purchases, get exclusive free gifts, and earn free shipping at Silver Key status, all on top of weekly member-only deals. Don't wait. Join MyLowe's Rewards for free today and start saving more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Flex your business with an American Express Business Gold Card. You'll earn 4 times membership rewards points on your top 2 eligible spending categories, like transit and electronics, each month, on up to $150K in combined purchases per year. Plus, you can now earn 3 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at AmericanExpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold, built for business by American Express.
And I think that that's just kind of cool because like home will do that to you. Like you're familiar with the back roads. Like I could probably close my eyes and drive home. Like just because like muscle memory, like I know when to put my foot on the gas and my foot on the brake. And I know like, you know, where to switch hands on the steering wheel because it's better for the turn. Like you just kind of have this like innate, rooted, deep feeling of what it means to be home and what it means to be so relaxed when you're home. And when I woke up this morning, I always have I have the verse of the day set up on my Bible app to come through. And of course, because God just does this, right? My favorite verse in the whole Bible, because y'all know I've struggled with anxiety for a long time. My favorite verse in the whole Bible is Psalm 46:10, be still and know that I am God. And of course, I woke up this morning, rolled over, and there's only one notification on my phone. Not a single, usually I get like tons of emails. I woke up probably like 7:15 this morning, and the verse of the day usually comes through around 7, and woke up, no emails, no texts, no notifications, literally nothing, not a peep from anybody except for this one notification from the Bible app. And of course, the verse of the day today is Psalm 46:10. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. And just what a cool reminder. What a cool reminder from God in that moment of like, you know what? this chapter is closing, but another one's starting, and you're going home to a place that you know like the back of your hand, and you get to be still. And you've worked so hard. To a degree, it might feel like you're backpedaling because moving home can feel like you're backpedaling, but I really don't. Like, I don't know. It feels like the right move to make, and it feels like a green light. I was rereading Matthew McConaughey's book, Greenlights, partially because most of my books were packed into boxes, but I was rereading his book, and it's so good. I'll take a tangent really quick. On the way home from Hawaii, I was watching How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. And I was like, dang, Matthew McConaughey is so good. So let me reread his book. And so it was just kind of like out in the house. And so I was reading it the other day. And his concept of green lights is essentially, if you guys haven't read it, you should. It's just so great. His storytelling is absolutely incredible. And essentially his concept of green lights is just like these little moments where you get to go. It's a little yes, it's a little nod from God just saying, you know what, go ahead. You've hit a green light. And as much as moving home can feel like a red light, this just doesn't. And I was so afraid that it would. I was so afraid that it would feel like a car crash, to be totally honest. But it doesn't. And I'm tearing up just thinking about it because it's like, dang, this feels like a green light. And I don't have a plan. Like, I do not have a plan. For the first time in what feels like forever, I don't have a plan. I've got like long-term things that I hope to achieve, but I don't have a plan, and that's okay. And I've always been the girl with the notebook and the planner and the labels and the things. And I've always been the girl that like has it figured out. And for the first time in a long time, I don't. And that kind of feels really freeing. I've shared on the pod how I didn't make a vision board this year because I just wanted to let this year happen. And that's exactly what we're doing. I'm detaching from the outcome, and I'm just going to focus on those little action steps of like, okay, how can I prioritize my relationship with the Lord? That obviously has to be a priority. And it's kind of comical because when I was listening to the episode that I had recorded almost 3 years ago from when I first moved up to Annapolis, I said something along the lines of like, I'm going to dedicate the month of March to being all about me. And I just laugh because I spent a lot of time when I lived in Annapolis just focused on me. And nothing felt more isolating than just focusing on me. Because when it comes down to it, like, life's not about you. You're gonna live your life, and you have control to a degree over your life and the choices that you make and the actions that you participate in. But life's not really about you. And once you tap into that, the world opens up. Like, it just cracks on open. It is so cool. And so listening back to that episode when I got to that part, like, oh, March is going to be all about me. Sure, self-care, self-love, whatever. Like, you know, we could go on and on about that. But I want this March to be way less about me than any other time in my life. Like, I hope that I can just plug in so hard to a church here. I hope that I can plug in so hard to starting Run Club down here in Ocean City. I hope that I can plug in so hard to a yoga studio or a fitness spot or find the gym that I love. And I just hope that I can make this move about how can I serve others in this place that I am in now, this chapter that I'm in now, because I don't know how long I'm going to be here. I might live in Ocean City for the rest of my life, or I might find someone to marry in 6 months and go move to who knows where. I could be called to go to somewhere in a different part of the world. I have no idea. But how can I serve the people around me right now? And how can I make life less about me? Because I have all the time in the world. I get to choose my commitments. I get to choose what I participate in. I get to choose the people that I'm around. And how freeing is that? And I get to take the tiny little action steps to just kind of get me closer to wherever God wants me, because right now I don't know where that is. And as kind of terrifying as that might be, it's also really, really freeing because I've surrendered the outcome and just focused on the little steps that I can take to get there wherever he wants me to be. It's kind of like just going for a leisurely drive. Like that's the best way that I could describe it. It's like borrowing your grandfather's BMW convertible when you are 16 and you are just blasting music and you're just going for a drive and you're just kind of like taking a spin around town. You're not sure where it's going to lead you. Maybe the beach, maybe the pool, maybe to coffee with a friend. Like you're just kind of going with the flow, seeing where the day's going to take you. Like that's how this feels. This feels like a Sunday. After church, maybe you go get a bagel. You're just kind of like running some errands, seeing what happens. And then you get invited to like your friend's bonfire in their backyard. Maybe you hang out with a neighbor. Maybe you go like walk a dog. I don't know. Like this feels so chill. And all I can think of is just be still. Be still and know that I am God and he's got it taken care of. And it's just really, really, really cool. My condo with Lexi was a really, really special place. And we have made so many friends in Annapolis. It's funny because I was teaching yoga my last class at Core Club last night. All the girls in there were friends of mine. And A, it was fun to teach a class to all my friends. B, I made a really sappy playlist. I think everybody shed a tear. And C, I told them at the end of it, I said something along the lines of like, when I moved here, I was hoping that I could make one friend. And I could have never imagined that I would have made that many friends into the depth that those friendships took me. Like I could have never imagined that they would have been like that cool of people or like that deep of, like I had never known friendships that deep until the ones that I made with the people there in Annapolis. And so that was really cool. Lexi and I really used our condo as kind of a home base, not only for us, but for a lot of other people, which is like so cool. I'm going to cry again. I've already cried like 12 times today. And I was talking to one of my good friends on the way home. I think I said something along the lines of, this feels like it was the best 3 years of my life. And I don't know if I'll ever have that much fun again. And he just reminded me of how silly that sounds and just how much fun life is going to continue to get. And just because a chapter's ending doesn't mean anything. Like it just means that the chapter's ending and it doesn't mean that you're never going to have fun again. So he kind of just like brought me back down to earth for a second because I was being really dramatic. But I did write something kind of dramatic, but kind of poetic. And I would love to read it to you guys if that's okay. And it's called If These Walls Could Talk. This condo was built in the 60s, recently remodeled. Regardless of the newer technology available during renovations, it seems that they opted to build the walls out of paper. And boy, did we write some stories. If these walls could talk, they'd tell you about the early buzz of the coffee maker as I wiped the sleep from my eyes and shuffled down the hall to wake Lex, ready to tackle another day of whatever the heck we were up to. If these walls could talk, they'd tell you about the dancing and the singing and all the noise complaints music brought. They'd tell you about the deal we had. I cook, Lex cleans. Unless we're making cookies, in that case, Lex is in charge. If these walls could talk, they describe the true story of how we acquired all the furniture. How it's mostly hand-me-downs or marketplace finds made possible by a favor from a friend. Hey, would this TV console fit in your truck? How about a couch? And those weary people always said yes. The couch would beam affectionately, reflecting on all the late-night crashers and giggle at the ones that opted for the floor instead. If these walls could talk, they could probably sing, too. All four would hum along to our playlist in perfect harmony, the melody of a ZB song permanently carved into the planks because this wood used to creak. If these walls could talk, they'd tell you about the friends that walked through that heavy front door and how I'd prayed long and hard for people like that to come into my life. And how I've attempted to pen an expression of my gratitude for the friendships that I found here, yet it falls short every time. If these walls could talk, they'd tell you about the laughter that bounced off of them, creating a ripple effect down the hall and into the adjacent rooms. Always contagious. It's the kind that roars, then falls into silent gasps for air. The jokes just keep on coming in an endless stream of creative, character-building cruelty. If these walls could talk, I'd hope they'd be kind enough to keep a few secrets, because boy, have I made some mistakes. If these walls could talk, they'd tell you that I was raised on the shore, but I grew up in this condo. Thank you to our little home on Fairview. It's an honor to be the scribe of the stories in which you've been the setting. So that was just a little thing, a little something that I wrote a couple weeks ago, kind of just when all this started to come about. And yeah, I hope you guys like that. And that definitely triggered a couple tears. And so that hit Instagram last night. I posted some other stuff on Instagram as well. So if you guys want some updates, some little bits and pieces of my life, some more from me, just kind of seeing what I'm up to, my Instagram is Lily Rayco, and that will be linked in the show notes. And that's pretty much the update. That is all I have for you guys. I know that it was a big one. I hope that I articulated all of this properly. I'm sure I did. No notes here. So if this was a win of an episode, I'm going to be so happy with myself. The true test will come if I can edit it and it like flows well. So we'll see about that. But I love you guys lots. I'm so grateful that you are just sticking with me through all the highs and lows, the ups, downs, the high tides and the low tides. And we are just doing life together. And I hate that phrase, but it just came out. So we'll keep it, I guess. I love you guys so much. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to share it with a friend. And that just helps more people find the show, listen to the show. Is based on referrals and reviews, and likes, I think, have something to do with it, or reviews, or 5 stars, or I don't even know. I really have like plugged myself out of the algorithms and social media, and I don't know what works anymore. I'm feeling like I'm getting old, and I don't really understand how to reach more people on the pod. It used to be so easy. It used to just be so natural. And I think now it's a lot trickier. So if you liked this episode, or if you have a friend that might like the podcast or might enjoy a different episode, please send it to them, share it on your social medias. And that really, really does help you guys more than you will ever know. And I so appreciate it. I love you guys so much. I'm so grateful for you, and I will talk to you so soon.